welcome back, and we are in our series Scare Tactics, which is about our fears and the things that the enemy uses to keep us back from being who we're called to be, being who we really are. I want to talk about, under the title of Fear of Man, what does that really look like? And one of those can be fearing what people think about us. And we can say that we don't care what people think about us and tell ourselves that we don't care what people think about us. But the truth of the matter is we do care. And to some degree, it is healthy to care about what people think, but not to the point where it's going to stop us or halt us from doing what God is calling us to do. And this was a huge one for me, and I'm sure there's still bits and pieces in there that I'm still having to work through. But I was scared that people wouldn't like me because they didn't understand me. And we might as well just throw it out there from the beginning. The quote that has been going around the internet for a few years, and it says, "You can be the greatest, most beautiful, juiciest peach that had ever existed, and there's somebody who still just doesn't like peaches. No matter what, there's going to be people who don't like us. And if we focus all our attention on those people who may or may not have a good reason for not liking us, we're missing all the people that God has put in our lives that do love us for exactly who we are." And the reason that it fed my depression was, in depression, you ruminate, which is you take a thought into your head and you can't let it go. You process it over and over and over again. And the more I thought about people not liking me, the more I became enslaved by that fear. And I know that the enemy used it every time. Oh, look what they think about you. Oh, look, oh, you put that up. Oh, you're really stupid. You shouldn't have done that. Oh, who do you think you are? And all these things that were constantly in my head of what people thought about me, and were they judging me? And yeah, they probably were judging me. I think one thing that the Lord taught me during a really season where he was breaking me and just saying, we got to get this stuff off of you, was he showed me that in order to defend myself or prepare myself for possible hurt, and I believe a lot of us do this, is you think something bad about someone else, or you think the worst about them. And it's a sense of comparing and thinking, well, they probably do this, so I'm better than them. Or look what she's wearing. At least I have this, and I might be overweight, but look how overweight she is. This constantly comparing, trying to make ourselves feel better. But this was actually poisoning my mind. And it ended up not going towards those people who never heard me say it. It came right back and sat in my heart. And I thought all the bad thoughts that anyone could ever think about me first, in order to think that I was protecting myself from, well, I already think that about myself anyway, so you can't hurt me. But it was destroying me, and it was causing more and more depression for me. And basically, the Lord took me through a season where a thought would come into my head, look how she looked at you. And I would have to say, I don't care. I don't care. I would literally say that in my mind. And it sounds crazy, but probably I am crazy. You have to kind of do things that are extreme sometimes in order to be free. And I don't want to not do what God has called me to do, or asked me to do, or step out or say something just because I am afraid of what people are going to think about me, or I'm afraid that people won't like me. There probably will always be people that don't like us, and that's okay. And you have to be right with the Lord. And if people say stuff about you behind your back, or even to your face, just let them. Like, God will defend you. If you're right with him, God will defend you. You don't need to defend yourself. Like, he's going to make it right. He loves justice even more than I do, and I love it a lot. In my marriage, we always say my husband's high grace and I'm high justice. No, we got to do what's right. And that's probably why I was super hard on myself as well. You know, I've had to learn how to get grace and accept grace. And that's a big fear that we live under a lot of times, especially as women, is we are judgmental. So we are fearful of being judged. And I think one of the first things that we can do in that is simply just choose not to be judgmental of people. Every time something comes into your head, like, oh, look what she's wearing, or oh, did you see what she posted? Who does she think she is? The moment that we do that, we have to say, nope, I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt. Nope, I'm going to think what's best about her. Because if we don't stop that, it's going to come back. That whole reaping and sowing thing, like, yeah, that's real. God really showed me that. This is a real concept that we have to pay attention to. That if what you want in your life is positive and life-giving and affirming and growth and goals and whatever, we have to give that to people. We can't be negative and takers and critical and judgmental and think that that's not going to come back and sit in our heart and like crumble us. The way that we're going to conquer this fear is by simply addressing it in our own hearts first. That we fear it because it hurts. We're hurting. We don't want to be judged. We don't want to be misunderstood. We don't want to be taken the wrong way. But if we just get out of the way, that it'll probably happen. And then say, oh, and then what? Okay, so I'm going to take this to the Lord and tell on people to the Lord. You know, this person did this to me. But we can only be responsible for our own actions in that situation. And the more that you take action and you trust God in those fears, the less it's going to happen to us, because we're taking our thoughts captive. We're saying, no, I'm not going to be controlled by this fear of what people think about me, and I'm going to trust God. And so if every time something like that happens to you, you trust God, then the enemy's not going to pound you with that, because it's not working in the same way. He'll come some other direction. He will find a different direction. But to take it head on and say, no, I'm not going to fear this, because God did not give us a spirit of fear, but of love, a spirit of love and power and a sound mind. And we have to take control of what we're thinking about. Fears reign us because we don't control what we're thinking about. We just say, oh, yeah, I know, I am all those things, or I can see why people don't like me, or we get angry, like, how dare they? Who do they think they are? They have all these, all this stuff, because we don't stop the process here. It ends up coming out in our lives and really controlling what ends up happening, to the point for me with depression and being suicidal and the things that were really crushing my soul. And God really had to teach me how to fight. You have to take those thoughts captive and say, I'm going to make you obedient to Christ. I'm not going to fear this, because Jesus says I don't have to. So that's just some food for thought there. Do we fear what others think about us, if they like us or if they don't like us? And how can we start addressing those things, starting with our own hearts and minds? I will be back next week with another part on the fear of man and fears that we let into our hearts and lives. And we will continue on this topic. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next video.